Head up the events in Charlottesville. There is every time there is some tragedy like that, there is a move to make all sides seem equal. What happened in Charlottesville is an example of how bad we can be, but also some shining examples of how humane and cohesive we can be. A lot of people point out the neo-Nazis were there, but there were several white people they were there protesting them. There were several people of all kinds of cultures there in fighting hate. Matter of fact, a woman gave her life fighting hate. Examples in Charlotte, North Carolina, a bunch of people of all different cultures snatched a statue down that was a symbol of the Confederacy, which is, it's just wonderful to see people who are just trying to be humane and trying to show that they are compassionate. But there's also a move to kind of make some level of moral equivalence. Like I heard, I don't know how many times that, even the president himself, there are many sides. There's one group or a couple of groups that are fragile, but with the same idea that we are white, we are superior, we want our country, and we want it back. So there's a move to equivocate, to make an equivalence between neo-Nazis and Black Lives Matter. Let me ask you something in all seriousness. When was the last time Black Lives Matter went to a city with torches, guns, and shields and shouted racist slogans and told gay people to die and shouted blood and soil and ran a woman over with a car and killed her? Now somebody's going to say, well, what about Baltimore? What about Ferguson? You can go back. There have been almost 200 race riots in this country, and virtually all of them has started. Why? Because somebody of color got killed by somebody or hurt by somebody and went to seek justice and nothing happened. Ferguson wasn't about a group of people, or Baltimore wasn't about a group of people that decided they were having their rights infringed upon it, and they didn't want another group. They didn't want to be superior. They wanted the ability to not die and have nobody be unaccounted for. Virtually every group, and this is not new. Before it was the Black Lives Matter. It was Martin Luther King. Before it was the NAACP. And all of it's ironic now that all the same things that were said about Black Lives Matter were said about Martin Luther King, and now he got a street, a school, and a holiday. You don't see nobody trying to tear down his statue, because we're proud of it now. The statues that are being torn down now are testaments to hatred. We can actually praise Martin Luther King in the dark. You will never hear somebody praising some of those Confederate generals out loud. They ain't gonna get a street anywhere. They have to go where pockets of hate still exist. That's the only place they can exist. Black Lives Matter only wants to have people responsible for their lives, to be responsible for what they do to people. What about that black guy who shot somebody, the police officer in Dallas? That was a crazy black guy who did something deplorable. That is not the measure of all black people. More white people are shot, more police officers are shot by white people than ever were shot by black people. Do we all equate them to neo-Nazi actions? There are more neo-Nazis that kill black people, that kill police officers. Are they all of a sudden, they're not even classified by the government as a terrorist group? When is the last time you saw black people take over a city and chant, we want to be in charge, we want supremacy, we want everybody else to go, everybody else is beneath us? When is the last time it happened? There's no moral equivalence between a group who hates and a group who's responding to that. If you hit me and I fight you back, that is my right to survive. I'm trying to survive. White supremacists want supremacy. Black Lives Matter wants survival. The only way those two groups are anything alike, have anything in common, is both their struggles start with S. That's a little note from the GED section. We got the Jazz Report coming up in 15 minutes. It's the D.L. Hughley Show.